All right, here we go. Happy Monday. Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. I got a full docket for you guys today. A lot of content to dive into, including the latest news and rumors. The Bears have signed another player, so we'll dive into that. They were at Michigan's Pro Day, so plenty to discuss here on today's show. But first, get the chat going a little bit. Shout out your city. Let us know where you guys are tuning in from. Appreciate everybody for rocking and rolling with us today. And Lacora is always keeping us on our toes in terms of when to start. I was wrapping up a training session with one of our younger employees, ran a couple minutes long, but we're ready to go. We got Jeeping in Phoenix, Jeremy in Bloomington. We'll get to Alex's super chat here in just a minute. We've got Joshua as well. And we also have special producer, OG Bears Now live producer. That, of course, would be Mr. Jack Lotteray. Our guy, Cullen Brown, a little under the weather today, so he is not in the building. But Jack is ready to rock and roll, ready to step in. Big shoes to fill, Jack.
Cullen's the man. I love Cullen. Cullen's the absolute man. I feel bad that he's not feeling good today. Never feels good to not feel good. That's the worst. But I'm happy to be back on Bears Now.
Back in the
first
saddle.
Live show I ever did. Let's freaking go. But of course, not happy that Cullen is not feeling good, but he'll be back later this week.
Cullen will almost certainly be back for our Thursday live show, so shout out to Jack for filling in today. King Tower says Jack needs to be permanent. You watching at home, Cullen? You hear that?
Well, I was going to say,
they're coming at your neck here.
If you go a few years back and you want to relive the 2021 Chicago Bears season, I don't know why anyone would want to do that, but if you want to, I am there permanently.
40, 30, 20. Matt Nagy's a fraud. Touchdown Vikings. Oh.
Who remembers the Thanks Nagy movement?
Cullen will be back, Santana. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Oh, is he in there? There he is. There he is. He's making sure this train is on the tracks here. But no, Jack's always ready to fill in. He's got bigger and better responsibilities these days, but we're ready to go. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, and we're still going to have a good show. We're going to talk a little contract extension candidates later today as well. So let's get this question out there, then we can launch into a couple of these super chats in a moment as well. If you had to rank these extension candidates, like if you had Gordon, TJ, then Thuney, type 2-3-1, for example, how would you rank it? I would rank it probably in the order that's on screen. Thuney 1, Gordon 2, TJ Edwards 3. I'm curious how you guys would rank it. Who would you extend first? So Unknown has 2-3-1, so Gordon, Edwards, Thuney. Same with Matthew Gibson. Hazard has it that way as well. Lucas, straight down the line, 1-2-3. Joshua says 2-4-3. Who's 4? Soldier Bear says 2-1-3. We got Erica saying 2-1-3 as well. So is Diego. Bear Down from H-Town going 2-3-1. Lacora is just spamming 2 for Kyler Gordon. Santana says 2-3-1. A. Dominguez says 2-1-3. I could see a world where all 3 of these players are extended, but we'll dive into it a little bit more on a video segment here in just a little bit. Okay, hit a couple super chats, then we'll tell you guys about our sponsor, Rocket Money. But first, we got Alex Amerling saying, Bear Down. Great super chat to kick off a Monday. Appreciate you, Alex. Get the Bear Downs in the chat for Alex. We got Cornelius as well with the 5. Appreciate it. He says, who has the better chance of becoming a Bear, Kenneth Grant or Mason Graham? I know Kenneth Grant is projected to go mid to late first. It's a tough question. I guess I'd still say Grant because I still would be surprised if Mason Graham got to the number 10 pick. So, Kenneth Grant will. So there's at least a chance they could draft him, whether it's at 10 or a trade down or whatever the case may be. I don't think there's a massive difference in chance. I don't think either is a great chance just because based on where the Bears are drafting. I don't think Graham falls to 10, so you'd probably have to trade up. Kenneth Grant, to your point, if you pick at 10, he's probably not getting to 39. So I think both have chances, but I don't know if either is a great chance. But I like both players. We're actually going to talk about the Michigan Pro Day today as the Bears were in attendance. Shout out producer Jack as well. He's been our Michigan producer for the last couple of years, so he's well familiar with both Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham. Okay, more in just a moment, but do want to tell you guys about our sponsor, Rocket Money, the best personal finance app in the game, because it's going to help you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and it will help you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Download the Rocket Money app today at rocketmoney.com/bears. Now, how much do you think you're paying in subscriptions per month? The answer is probably more than you think. Over 74% of people have subscriptions that they have forgotten about. I definitely did. I've told you guys, I had a golf streaming service that I don't even know what I downloaded it for. It was like $100 a year. I think I did a free trial and was about to get clipped for another year. But luckily with Rocket Money, I was able to cancel that with just clicking a few buttons on the app. It's going to list out all of your subscriptions on one screen, so you can see exactly how much per month you're spending. If you want to cut back on some of those, a few taps later, you can get those canceled, and they'll kind of serve as a middleman for you. Also, you can set budgets. They'll send you weekly and monthly reminders to make sure you're staying on track. You can just do basic banking things. I like it better than my normal banking app because it's just user-friendly, right? Like categorize spending. You can check your credit score. It's just very easy. It'll also send you or kind of have reminders of when upcoming bills are due for your phone provider, or, your electric bill or whatever the case may be. I'm a big fan. I've been using it for a couple of years. And if you're like me, you got a mortgage, you got a wife, you got a daycare to pay for a 2-year-old. You got to stay on top of your finances, and Rocket Money has helped me do that. So links in the live chat, rocketmoney.com/bears now. Get started today and stay on top of your finances. Okay, who is your dream draft target at number 10? Are we on the Ashton Jeanty train fully? Maybe it is Mason Graham, because that would be kind of a dream where it's not impossible, but it's unlikely that he would fall to 10. That would probably be my answer. Like, that would be the dream. There's a lot of other guys I like, including Ashton Jeanty. Soldier Bear says Cullen Brown. Luckily, Cullen Brown doesn't cost any draft picks. We already got him.
I did want to say real quick, we got a really nice message from Lucas about Rocket Money. Said he's currently subscribed to Rocket Money, and it really has helped him save money.
Shout out to Rocket Money.
So
you can save over $700 per year with Rocket Money. Did you know that, Producer Jack?
It's not just us saying it. We got Lucas in the chat saying it as well.
Stop wasting money on things you don't use. rocketmoney.com/bears now, baby. Jeanty or Graham. James Pierce Jr., I don't think he's going top 10. So you might be able to get him in a trade down scenario. Maybe even he falls to the second round. We'll see. Where's Colin? For people just joining us, Colin is sick today. He will be back. I'd be shocked if he wasn't back for our Thursday live show. But, that'd be a concern. But, no, he's fine. He's just rusting up. Getting fluids, all that stuff, and he'll be ready to go. All right, we're ready to go here, and we appreciate all 300-plus people watching. How do we only have 9 likes? I'm actually offended. If we don't get to 100 likes, Cullen's not going to get better. I mean, that's just how it is. So hit that like. I almost think my thing's glitched. Like once I hit refresh. Nah, it still says 9. That seems impossible. Seems impossible. Yeah, that seems fake. I'm checking my phone. What does it say on your screen? I have 10, so you're lying. Well, I just like the video, so that's probably why. I see 8 on this now. What is going on? Whatever. Hit that like button. I definitely think it's glitched because you're telling me no one in the last 30 seconds has hit the button. Yeah, we're glitching. You hear Santana. He says, drop the damn likes. We appreciate it. The reason we ask, it helps get more Bears fans in here, and we can grow this community. So we appreciate you guys. Click one button. Doesn't cost you anything. Yeah, it's a glitch. Okay. We got a lot to dive into here on today's show. The Bears have signed a free agent That's his picture right there. We will tell you who that player is coming up in a few moments. We are going to take more questions. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat to get your questions answered on today's show. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat. Fire away. Free agency, trades. You got the draft, all kinds of stuff. Fire in those questions. And then we're going to take a look at some extension candidates, Joe Thuney and a couple others. Who could the Bears look to extend between now and week 1? I got 3 players I'm taking a close look at, and then a few honorable mentions. So lots to get into here on Chicago Bears Now. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. It's definitely glitching because there's no way it would be stuck at exactly 9 likes. Appreciate everybody who supports the show, and let's roll. I'm Harrison Graham. You're watching Chicago Bears Now by Chat Sports, and Ryan Poles and company have made another signing in NFL free agency. They have signed defensive back Nick McLoud to a 1-year deal. We'll tell you all about McLeod here on today's show. I do want to give his agency credit here for tweeting this out before the Bears and any insiders did. For signing a contract with the Chicago Bears. Kind of just a quick who is Nick McLoud reaction here. Played for 2 colleges, NC State for 4 years, then played his final year during the COVID season at Notre Dame in 2020. So some ties to the area there. He was a Bills undrafted free agent. They brought him in 2021. Has spent the majority of his career with the Giants, was on their active roster for about 2.5 years. He got cut this past November, which was not well received by his teammates. We'll talk about that here in just a second. The 49ers picked him up off waivers, and he finished last season in San Francisco, and now he is on the Chicago Bears roster. I talked to my guy, Marshall Green, our Giants Now host here at Chat Sports. Good friend of mine. Go check him out if you haven't seen his stuff before. But I basically said, hey, give me a quick summary. What's the deal with Nick McLoud? And he said, Nick McLoud is a depth corner that can play outside and inside, plus also play some safety. He's a good special teams guy. Giants players weren't happy when he was cut during the middle of last season. And when I read that, kind of his play, like what he can do on the field, to me, this sounds like your Jalen Jones replacement. If you missed the news over the weekend, Jalen Jones, UDFA from a few years ago, same with Josh Blackwell, who they did re-sign. He signed with the Cardinals, and similar guy, right? Special teams, can play multiple positions in the secondary. I would say McLoud is a little more versatile, the ability to play inside, outside, maybe a little safety as well. I read, I think Brad Biggs or Chris Emma, someone had the note, he's played over 1,100 special team snaps, and you see there he's racked up almost 100 tackles in his career, 10 breakups, and interceptions, so he's played a little bit of defense. I think he has like 15 starts in his career, so it's not like he's been strictly a special teamer. He's a guy who can play some backup DB as well, and like I said, I think he's your Jalen Jones replacement. I pencil him in behind Tyreek Stevenson there. You got Terrell Smith as your top backup corner. Obviously, Blackwell is your backup nickel. You've got Amir Speed in the mix as well, but I think he leapfrogs Speed in the pecking order in this defensive backfield. And wouldn't say he's a lock to make the roster, but with his special teams background, I would say he's got the inside track. And by the way, Richard Hightower clearly has some pull within this organization, the special teams coordinator. After that flurry with the 2 trades and then the big signings early in free agency, a lot of special teams additions, right? He gets Blackwell and Ogbongbemiga back. He gets obviously Devin Duvernay to be his returner. You get Nick McLoud, Travis Homer's back. So they've clearly, I think, valued Richard Hightower's voice in this second wave of free agency to kind of get guys to round out the roster. Now, again, could a couple of these guys not make the team? We'll see. But I would guess right now that he's probably, your 4th, 5th corner and one of your top special teamers. This is why you subscribe to the channel, whether it's big news, small news, we cover it all here on Chicago Bears Now. If the Bears sign someone, we are going to cover it. I promise you that. We, of course, cover the latest Bears rumors, NFL draft and free agency coverage as well. We go live twice a week. We have a good time. We bring you guys informative information and give our takes on it. So hit that sub button, turn on notifications, and lock us in 24/7, 365. Okay. The Bears staffers attend Michigan's Pro Day over the weekend. I believe it was on Friday, actually, but some nuggets have dropped since then, and just kind of wanted to give my spiel on some of the players that they went to go watch and who was in attendance, etc. So we will get into that coming up here in just a moment. But first, a word from our sponsor, Rocket Money. Are you looking to save money? Do you feel like you're spending too much money on a weekly, monthly, annual basis? Well, you probably don't have a great feel for your finances. That's probably just the reality of the situation. Get started with Rocket Money today, a personal finance app that can help you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and help lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. Speaking of that, yes, lower your bills. There are real opportunities to do that with Rocket Money. All you have to do is upload a photo of a certain bill you have. Maybe you feel like it's too much. Your phone bill, your electric bill, whatever the case may be. And they'll kind of start surfing around for you. They'll see if they can find you a better deal with that company or with another one. And sometimes they can lower that bill for you by up to 20%. So if you're paying $100 on your phone bill, they might find a deal that's $80 per month. So no guarantee, but Rocket Money does a pretty good job with that. Obviously, the ability to cancel your subscriptions you no longer want. They'll list them all out on one screen. And, with the click of a few buttons, you can stop paying for X, Y, and Z streaming service, online newspaper, whatever the case may be, if you're looking to scale back, and just normal day-to-day banking things, right? Checking when your upcoming bills are due, how much did you spend last week, your credit score. It's very organized, very easy to kind of digest the information because, look, unless you're, like an accounting expert or you studied business in college, some of this stuff feels complicated, and Rocket Money really does simplify it for you. So stop wasting money on things you don't use. Get going with Rocket Money today. Cancel those unwanted subscriptions at rocketmoney.com/bears now. They have 5 million users and counting, have saved their customers $500 million in canceled subscriptions alone, and you can save up to $740 per year if you are a member. Stop waiting. Go to rocketmoney.com/bears now. Okay. Let's talk a little Michigan football pro day. Bears were in Ann Arbor. 2 for sure staffers. I would imagine several scouts. I would think Ryan Poles was there, although I've not seen a photo or proof of that. But Ben Johnson and Dennis Allen, and presumably others, like I said, were at Michigan's pro day. And obviously Mason Graham is the headliner, but they got a lot of them here, right? I mean, a lot of first round and day 2 talent with these 5 players. Mason Graham, someone Bears would love to drop to number 10 if he was sitting there. I think they'd really consider it. Will Johnson, Bears don't really need a corner, but he's a first-round talent. Colston Loveland, the tight end, is a guy that you would think Ben Johnson would be pretty interested in to run some 12 personnel with him and Cole Kmet. Kenneth Grant, another guy that could go round 1. Maybe he falls into round 2, but I doubt it. Josiah Stewart's an interesting player. Big, long, athletic edge rusher. Probably a day 2 guy, but he was there as well. So the Bears certainly got some close-up views and some conversations with some of these guys you would imagine over the weekend. A note on Mason Graham, by the way. Everyone freaked out at the Combine when he weighed in at 296 pounds. He's back up to 306. He told reporters that he played around, I think, 305 to 310 last year. Said he expects to play about 310 in the NFL. So no worries there. These linemen, they can fluctuate their weight all the time. Remember, the plan for him was to shed a little weight, work out at the Combine, but then he had a heel bruise, so he didn't work out. So that ended up not working out. But I'm a huge fan of his game, and the fact that he's as agile as he is at over 300 pounds, I think is very appealing. He's an excellent run defender. He's a good pass rusher who I think has a chance to be a really good pass rusher if he can add some more moves to his repertoire. Almost 14% pass rush win rate per PFF last year. That's excellent for an interior pass rusher coming out of college football. So I really like him. I know some people, there seems to be some draft fatigue on some guys, like Tetero McMillan's one of those guys right now. Some people are kind of fatigued on Mason Graham a little bit. I have not wavered. If he is sitting there at 10, I absolutely love it. I think it'd be kind of a minor miracle if it happened. I don't think it's impossible. Like, we know it's impossible barring something unforeseen for Abdul Carter to fall to 10. I don't think it's that crazy that it could happen with Mason Graham because the measurables, the arm length, it's not, top tier, but you just throw on the tape, you watch his highlights, you're like, man, this kid can really play. He's a 3-down defensive tackle to me in the NFL. Now, to kind of rehash kind of the draft range for their core 5 guys this year, Mason Graham, top 10. I think the Bears would be the floor. If he's on the clock at 10 and the Bears don't take him, I'd be shocked. Will Johnson, top 20, could sneak into the top 10. Colston Loveland, Kenneth Grant, both should be round 1 guys. They could even sniff close to top 10 range, probably closer to 15 to 25 for those two. Josiah Stewart, probably a day 2, second, third round guy, but he's got measurables and talent that'll translate to the NFL. So a lot of good players Michigan had this year. Obviously, the Bears just down the road in Chicago, able to send a brass up there. So definitely keep an eye on some of these names as we get closer and closer to the NFL draft. And we'll see if some of these guys end up taking top 30 visits to Hallis Hall between now and April's draft. Who is your dream target with the number 10 pick? Like, I'm fully on the Ashton Jeanty train. Like, I fully am on board with making that pick. But I do think Mason Graham would be kind of a dream, right? Like, if he fell to 10, like, to me, that's the definition of a dream, where it's a long shot, but there's at least a small chance. Ashton Jeanty, it's not a long shot. It's not guaranteed, but it's probably 50-50 if he gets to number 10. So I would say Mason Graham is probably that guy for me. Unrealistic, but not impossible. What say you? What is your dream target with the number 10 pick? All right, that is going to do it for this edition of Chicago Bears Now. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to today's show. My name is Harrison Graham. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We'll continue to pump out free content on a daily basis. Bear down. All right, we got our mailbag coming up, so fire in the chat, hashtag Bears or Super Chat to get your questions answered here on today's show. That's hashtag Bears or Super Chat in the live chat. And we'll get those questions answered. Draft, free agency, trades, whatever you got, we will rock and roll. Osmonix's dream, Travis Hunter. Yeah, but there's just no chance. Dream. I get what you're saying. Like, sure, but like, at least Mason Graham, there's a scenario. Like, what's the scenario Travis Hunter falls to 10? Like, a legal issue pops up? I mean, that's kind of what you're talking about there. You did say that's fair, Osmonic, but I tried to explain, like, something that at least is conceivable. All right. Super Chat. Boo! Green Bay Packers fan. Harrison is leaving Bear. He says this this is like a new bit. He sends me $5 to say I'm going to be the Packers host. We already got a Packers host. His name is Joey Peterson. FGBs all around. You know what to do. Dennis, the Chicago kid, saw an article saying the Bears should trade Swift to the Raiders for a bag of chips. Could that be a chess move, and would you do that if it meant Jeanty? The only problem with that is then I think you need 2 running backs. I don't think Roschon Johnson's an RB2. Like, I was hoping last year he'd take that leap. They gave him that chance when Khalil Herbert had a diminished role. Just didn't seize it. Got another concussion as well. So, I don't think I would do that. I think you need to enter the draft with DeAndre Swift. Now, I will say this. If you do draft Ashton Jeanty at 10 and someone tries to trade for Swift during the draft and there's another running back you'd like to pair with Jeanty, sure. Like, you could consider that at that point. But if you traded DeAndre Swift today, this would easily be the worst running back room in the NFL. Like, I don't think it's even close. I mean, you would have Roschon Johnson, Travis Homer, and Ian Wheeler. So I don't think you can enter the draft under those circumstances. Tito, you don't think Michael Williams is worthy? Oh, was that just a normal comment? I don't, by the way, Tito. But this one, what was Graham's 40 and bench reps? I didn't see anything. I think he just did the football drills. I was searching. I was like, what did he run the 40? What did he – I didn't see. So I think he just did the football drills. because I saw he worked out, but I didn't see some of the specific testing and with those things. So, yeah, I think he probably just did the football drills. Maybe teams will have him do some of those testing things at top 30 visits. I'm not sure, but didn't see anything about his 40. So I'm not sure it matters with Mason Graham. Now, Xavier Restrepo running a 4.8 today for Miami. That's an issue, but that's a different story. All right, fire away, #Bears or Super Chat to get your questions in. And let me make sure. #Bears or Super Chat, like Harley, Lacora, and
I got beef with the scrolls.
yeah, Jack is an Arizona State grad. We can talk that real quick. He says Scadaboo's a 5th-round talent.
That's just
that's too low.
No. So he's contradicting himself because he said, disclaimer, if you didn't actually watch college football, please stop suggesting things. The scrolls, you obviously did not watch college football if you think Scadaboo is a 5th-round talent.
I'll say this.
I'm going to fight that. I'll die on that
I'm not
hill.
as high on Scadaboo as some people are. Like he's a day 2 top 50 guy. I personally don't have him that high, but I would take him in like the middle of the 3rd round. I don't know if I'd love him at 72, but if they trade it back for a later 3rd round pick, like I definitely think he's worthy of a 3rd round selection. 5th round, come on, man. Like he's
just ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. I'm not. Again, Arizona State grad. Whatever. Yes. Okay. I'm not even saying he should be a 2nd round pick. Late 3rd round pick, I think he's like a late day two pick.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree.
Why would someone not want to take a flyer on that potential talent?
Well, I don't even think it's a flyer. Like I think like
flyer. Yeah.
I think at like worst, like he's a good rotation, like short yardage guy who can catch the ball. At best, he proves he can be a primary back. So
Cinematic said, not biased at all. If I was biased, I would say he's a top 50 pick.
That's true. And
some people
have said that.
There are ASU people that believe that. That believe that he is a late 1st round, early 2nd round pick. I don't believe that. I think that he is a late late 3rd round pick. I legitimately believe that.
I think that's fair.
Love
Goldberg
y'all,
says
though.
top
I love
80,
y'all,
90. I think that's, yeah. Like, to me, yeah, he's a top 100 guy, and that's, like, late 3rd round. Like, to me, I would take him between 75 and 100. So.
I do love all you, though. I'm just going to defend my ASU brethren.
Edward with the double dip there. We'll get that in the mailbag. All right, #Bears, Super Chat. Looks like we got Benjamin and Sandman Super Chats. We'll get those in the mailbag, plus all your other questions. You see those two? Benjamin and then Edward. No, let's set them in the mailbag. We can start. Either way, doesn't matter. Just make sure you don't miss those 2 soups. All right, here we go. #Bears Super Chat. Mailbag time. Let's get to it here on Bears Now. I'm Harrison Graham. You're watching another episode of Chicago Bears Now, where we talk all things Bears. And on today's show, we're taking your questions for a little mailbag, so let's dive on in. Benjamin Sandman with the $5 Super Chat. Appreciate it. He says, Genty there at 10. Cowboys call, offer you their 4th and 6th this year. You think the Bears take that deal to move 2 spots back? For a 4th and a 6th? I know it's only 2 spots. That's kind of underwhelming. Who are the Bears getting at 12? I don't know. I think if I'm the Bears and I really like Genty, even if it's only 2 spots back, I at least got to get a 3rd, I think. I don't think that's enough for me to pivot off Genty unless, like, if they did that, that would tell me they're not, like, scorching high on Genty. It's like, we like him, but, yeah, we'll take the 4th and the 6th. I would not do that. Edward, dream scenario, Genty and Scadaboo. Be fun. I think the only way you do that is in some scenario where you trade DeAndre Swift, probably during the draft. Like, say you take Genty at 10 and you get calls for Swift on day 2, day 3. for a 5th-round pick or something like that, pick up the extra pick to fill another need there. So I'd be surprised. I think they're going to roll with Swift along with the draft pick, but it's fun to think about. Unknown Helsinger, who would you want in free agent quarterbacks to train Caleb? Well, I don't think you need someone to train Caleb. The Bears have coaches for that. But in terms of like a veteran presence, someone who's no threat to start over him, obviously. Not that there's even anyone out there for that. But like a Joe Flacco, a Case Keenum. If Teddy Bridgewater wanted to play this year, I'm not sure if he's going back to coach his high school again this year after winning state last year. Like someone like that where they've played a lot of ball, but they're not starters at this point, but they could be a veteran voice in the room. I'd be cool with someone like that. I think Bagent from a playing standpoint is perfectly fine as the backup. I think he is good enough to be that role, but if they wanted a veteran voice in there, someone like that could fill that void. Got Jeff Volk. How far would you be willing to trade down? I think it depends on the offers. I would trade into the early 20s if it got a future first. Like I did that in my last mock draft, traded down from 10 to 21. I think we picked up a 4th this year and a 1st next year. It's a lot of spots to move down, but if you get a 1st in next year's draft, the draft many consider that could be better than this year's. Like, okay, like we're talking. But it just depends, like who's on the board when you're picking at 10. If there's a true blue chipper on the board at 10, and every team has their own draft big board and determines like where the blue chippers are, how many of them are there. If there's a true blue chip player there, I think you just take them. If not, then sure, like be willing to trade down and see if you get some big time offers. But it depends on the offers, and it depends who's available. Check my RAS. Everybody loves an RAS score, baby. Could the Bears sign Von Miller? Dennis Allen was the Broncos' defensive coordinator when Denver drafted him in 2011. Yeah, you always forget Dennis Allen was with the Broncos for one or 2 years, 2011, maybe 2012. I think just 2011, though. And then he took the Raiders head coaching job. But they drafted Von Miller when he was the DC, so you'd have to think he had some input on that pick. And look, obviously, Von Miller is a hell of a talent right now. He's 36 years old. Injuries have popped up a bit. Thought he had a nice little bounce back year last year after not doing much in 2023, missing a lot of time there. 6 sacks. If you told me he'd play 12-plus game, give you 5 to 7 sacks as a rotation pass rusher, I'd be all for it. He's not going to defend the run much at this point in his career. He doesn't have the ideal length of a 4.3 edge, but I don't know. Is he 1 year and $4 million? Come give me half a dozen sacks. Like I would absolutely be all in on that. He definitely wants to keep playing, so I'm in. I don't know if the Bears are. I don't know if Von Miller would be, but I think as a rotation edge rusher who can come in on 3rd downs and rush the passer, I would absolutely be on board with the potential Von Miller signing. Should the Bears sign Von Miller? This will be the pinned comment on today's show. Type S for sign or P for pass. Give us your thoughts during this YouTube ad break. All right, Brick just got home from work, driving 250 miles. Damn. What do you think about the new signing? I've never heard of the dude. Well, I said it during the segment. Brick, depending on when you guys are watching this video, whether it's live on Monday or later in the week, he's asking about Nick McLoud. I think this is a Jalen Jones replacement. Versatile DB who's going to contribute primarily on special teams, but he's a little more versatile on defense if he does have to play. He can play a little safety, which has value because you have some safety depth question marks. Obviously, he can play inside and outside corner, over 1,100 career snaps on special teams, so he'll play primarily on special teams and contribute in the defensive backfield when called upon. Daniel Adkins, a lot of buzz and potentially drafting a linebacker. What are your thoughts? Well, you need a linebacker. You got Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards, then special teams guys. Eamon Ogbongbemiga, Noah Sewell, who hasn't shown you much. So they got to go get a linebacker to replace Jack Sanborn. We talked about EJ Speed earlier on Monday in free agency. He could be a guy you look at. there's guys on day 2, day 3 of the draft where you could find come in, be a Sam linebacker. But, yeah, they need another player there, no question. Joe O'Donnell, is Grady Jarrett more of a pass rusher or a run defender at this point in his career? I think a pass rusher. He may not rack up crazy sacks, but I think that's where he's going to impact the game most, is just, dent that pocket, like coaches like to say, make the quarterback uncomfortable, which is something Jarrett said. That doesn't pop up just with sacks, with hits, with hurries, getting him off his spot. I think he's going to be able to do that while also being an adequate run defender. I think that's the type of player you're getting. It's even more than adequate, best in the game when it comes to personal finance. That is Rocket Money. Download the Rocket Money app today at rocketmoney.com/Bears now. Personal finance app that can help you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and help lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. Listen, for you parents, you already know how much daycare costs if you have to utilize it. It's not cheap. I will just say that. And you got to manage your budget. You got to figure out between you and your family, how much do you want to spend on this? Can we afford to take a vacation this year? Well, Rocket Money is going to help you stay on top of your spending, monitor your finances, and show you all your subscriptions to see how much per month and per year you're spending. You're probably spending way more than you think. Most Americans think they spend about $62 per month on subscriptions. But get this, the number is closer to $300. Thankfully, I started using Rocket Money a couple of years ago, and they found a bunch of subscriptions I had forgotten all about. I had even double dipped in a couple of cases. When my wife and I got married, oh yeah, we probably should have canceled the streaming service you have that I also have. So there was a lot of that. So they're going to help you with all of that stuff. You may have signed up for a free trial that you have now been getting charged with month to month. And you're probably saying, Harrison, I don't spend that much. Oh, well, put it to the test. Download the app, sync up your bank account, and see how much per month you're spending and how much you're saving or a lack thereof, and how you could start to grow your savings. Rocket Money will help you do that. So 5 million users and counting, 500 million in canceled subscriptions saved for their customers, including members being able to save up to $740 per year when you use all the app's features. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel those unwanted subscriptions today. Take advantage of all the other features at rocketmoney.com/Bears now. rocketmoney.com/Bears now. Check it out. We Bears. Appreciate the super. He says, take both Ohio State running backs. Yeah, I've heard that. Again, are you trading Swift? What are you getting for Swift? Let me ask you guys this. Would you rather trade DeAndre Swift for a 5th or 6th round pick and draft Travion Henderson along with another running back? Let's say, okay, take both your guys, right? Okay, let's say you take one in that 39-41 chunk and then the other one at 72. Would you rather do that and get a late day 3 pick for DeAndre Swift, or would you rather just keep Swift and just draft one running back, whether it's at 10, 2nd round, 3rd round? I'd rather do that because, sure, DeAndre Swift's not a perfect player, but he makes a decent amount of money. He's good out in space. Is a part of a 1-2 punch. I think he can be really effective. So take Ashton Genty, get Quinshon Judkins, take Caleb Johnson, someone of that ilk to pair with DeAndre Swift. And if you want to move on from Swift after this year, it's a lot easier to do so. You could cut him, you could trade him, save more money in 2026, and then you could draft a running back again next year. So that's kind of where I'm at. I don't think the Bears are in position to spend 2 premium picks on a running back this year, but they'll definitely spend 1. DC Viper, who is a draft sleeper that you would love the Bears to draft? A name I've circled back to a few times. I like Ty Robinson out of Nebraska, the defensive tackle. Really athletic, 6-year college player, a little bit older, so he could slip in the draft, 4th, 5th round. He's a fun player. Trying to think. There's a couple tight ends I like on day 3. We actually got to talk to Jalen Conyers at the Big 12 Pro Day last week. Really good blocker, better athlete than you would think. He could be a fun, late 6th round type of guy, come in, block, and be a reliable 3rd tight end. So there's a few guys, but those are a few names to keep in mind. Subscribe to Bears Now for full Bears offseason coverage. You want to be caught up on the latest news? You want to know when the Bears sign a player and what my reaction to it is? How about the juicy rumors and trade buzz out there? We cover it all. I give my takes on all of it. And best part, it's 100% free. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. David Hernandez, if Mason Graham does fall, what does that mean for Gervon Dexter? Do we trade him or sit him? Obviously, you don't take Graham at 10 for him to sit, right? No, I just think it kind of beefs up your room, right? And it becomes a competition, and I think there'd be a lot of rotating. I mean, they are defensive tackles. They're not going to play 90% of the snaps. But your room would be pretty loaded, right? You'd have Mason Graham, Gervon Dexter, Grady Jarrett, and Andrew Billings. It's a fun group of four, and they'd all play a good amount. As far as the pecking order goes, that's what training camp's for. That's what the offseason's for. There should be a lot of competition. This team won 5 games last year. So I like Dexter, but I don't think Gervon Dexter's presence should stop the Bears from drafting a defensive tackle if they really like one. Tal Mamada, why are we off drafting O-line? I'd take Josh Simmons and Caleb Johnson. No one's off drafting O-line, but I do think we have entered BPA. Josh Simmons, to me, is just not a better prospect than an Ashton Genty, than a Tyler Warren. He's also coming off a bad knee injury. So if you want to trade down for Josh Simmons, cool. To me, Josh Simmons isn't a top 10 player in this draft. And if you're taking the 16th best player in the draft at 10, I don't think that's good drafting. Now, maybe he'll end up being a top 10 player, but I think with the knee injury, that's a pretty big risk. Had he not had the injury, I'd be much more comfortable taking him at 10. The reality is he did have the injury. So that's my stance. I like Armand Mimbu. I would take him at 10. Will Campbell, if you told me you felt good about his chances playing left tackle, I'd be open to taking him at 10 as well. But it's not about being off drafting O-line. It's more about being open to other positions because the Bears have filled some holes and have the flexibility to do that and just go pure BPA, at least in the first round. To your point, though, I'd be shocked if one of their first 4 picks, 10, 39, 41, and 72, wasn't at least one offensive lineman. Who is your favorite current Bear? Obviously, all time, the Walter Paytons, the Devin Hesters, the Brian Urlachers, the Dick Butkuses, whoever, Ditka. Insert historically great Bears player. But right now, current Bear on the roster, who is your favorite one? Let's hear it. Lucas, do the Bears trade Cole Kmet if they draft Tyler Warren? No. At least not right now. Could they in a year or two? Sure. But to me, if you take Tyler Warren, you're enhancing your tight end room. You're saying, hey, we got 2 really good tight ends. We got Cole Kmet. We got Tyler Warren. The Lions' offense was 3rd in 12 personnel utilization last year at over 32%. Those 2 guys would play together quite a bit. It would take some pressure off Cole's plate as well. And for Tyler, in this case, he wouldn't be asked to come in and do what Brock Bowers did right away. Like, the Raiders needed Brock Bowers to be a star right away. Tyler Warren would not have to be a star right away in this scenario. He could kind of ease into his career a little bit. So I don't think Cole would go anywhere. If Warren's awesome as a rookie and, kind of replaces him by the end of his rookie year as the top tight end here, yeah, I could see it being a trade a year from now. But this year, they would play side by side. TJ, should the Bears trade Swift to the Raiders for their 6th pick and their 2nd round pick? Their 6th pick and their 2nd round pick, and the Raiders get Swift in our 3rd round pick. The Raiders are not trading you the number 6 pick for Swift. I don't know if you misworded this here. Swift for 6 and their 2nd, Raiders get Swift in the Bears' 3rd. That's a horrible trade for the Raiders. Guys, DeAndre Swift what are you saying? Yeah, are the Raiders getting number 10 in this scenario? Like you swap 10 and 6? If that's the case, okay, I could maybe see. I still don't think it would happen, but DeAndre Swift by himself is worth like a 5th or 6th round pick. Maybe. So you're not getting the number 6 pick, even in a swap with number 10. Like the point gap between 6 and 10 is like a 2nd round pick. So, you're basically saying DeAndre Swift is worth a 2nd round pick in that scenario. So, no, that's not realistic. All right, appreciate all your questions. If you have more, fire in my DMs at HGramNFL. Twitter and Instagram is where you can find me at HGramNFL. Slide into the DMs over there. Fire in your Bears questions. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Bear down. Extend TJ Edwards, Shady says. Well, stay tuned. We're about to talk some contract extensions. Oh, I'm seeing a lot of Cam Ward Pro Day-ish on my feed. Oh, it did. Okay. Oh yeah. I'm not a WWE guy. Oh, it's in Europe tonight? Oh, is that where McAfee is? Who's watching WWE? Who's watching Raw tonight? Producer Jack is. Bring back Justin. I thought that was dead. There's always someone. They're always lurk. Go check out the Jets report by Chat Sports. That's where all the Fields content is. They're always lurking. I like them too, but in relation to the Bears, it's over, as the kids would say. All right, let's get Benjamin's super chat, and then we'll get into our final segment because I actually got a skedat at 5:30 today. I'm on daycare pickup duty. We'll be done before then. We're good. Benjamin, with the Bears having a new coaching staff, will they get more OTA/minicamp time? They will, I believe. I'd have to double check, but I think the answer is yes. They definitely get earlier as well. So I will double check that, Benjamin, but they definitely – I know they get something extra for having a new staff, which will be huge because new offense to install, new defense to install. Take it. The Bears need to take advantage of that. So the answer is yes. What exactly those parameters are, Benjamin, I don't know off the top of my head, but that's the answer. And now we got Bustin Fields chance in the chat. So
Dave, I know Raw is on right now. Do not spoil it for me. I'm watching it when I get home.
We don't. The Justin Fields debate doesn't need to continue on this channel. We haven't done it in forever, guys.
I love Justin Fields.
But it's over. It is over. All right, let's get to my final segment here as let me see here. Now let's open with the player L3. Let's open with that. Yeah. All right, here we go. Final segment of the day. On today's episode of Chicago Bears Now, I take a look at 3 players that I believe the Bears should extend before week 1. We'll take a look at some other players that conceivably are extension eligible, but I think are very, very unlikely to get extended as well. But we'll focus on these 3 first. Let's start with one of the newest members of the Chicago Bears, and that is Joe Thuney, the 4-time All-Pro, 4-time Super Bowl champion, the guard who came over from Kansas City right before free agency started. I think this is a pretty easy and obvious one. He's got 1 year and $16 million left on his current deal. As of now, he would enter free agency next year, and to me, that would just be silly to let that happen. I've heard people compare this to Keenan Allen last year. Completely different situation. 1, you already had DJ Moore under contract making a lot of money at receiver. 2 high-paid receivers long-term to extend. And Keenan at his age, there wasn't a clear dip happening, but there was also a pretty big belief they were going to take Rome Odunze early, so that was different. Joe Thuney's your best offensive lineman right now. He is still at the top of his game. I'd be shocked if he wasn't extended before the start of this season. And another reason it would just be surprising is, don't you just want to line up the timeline with your interior offensive lineman? They added a year to Jonah Jackson's deal. He's through 2027. Drew Dahlman signed a 3-year contract through 2027. both have outs after 2026, by the way, so they're really 2+1s. You could do a similar thing with Joe Thuney. Give him a 2-year extension, or just rip up this current year and just do a new 3-year contract. You do like 3 years and $65 million, something like that, for one of, if not the best guard in the game. This is an extension projection I threw out there on an earlier video. I'll bring it back. 2 years, $42 million, $21 per year, which is right at the top of the guard market if you take out Trey Smith's franchise tag cap hit, which is like $23 million. Guarantee 30 of it and call it a day. To me, that's pretty easy. You're not tying yourself crazy long term, but you're giving yourself security in the short term to line up with your other interior offensive linemen. These guys can grow for the next couple of years, protect your quarterback in Caleb Williams. And speaking of Caleb, it would also be lined up contractually where these guys are all off your books around the time you would commit big money to Caleb Williams, which is the ultimate goal, right? Because that means that you found the right quarterback. So I think the way they've structured these contracts so far has been smart, and I think extending Joe Thuney to line up with those two guys is a pretty easy, obvious, and quite frankly, a decision I'd be shocked if it wasn't made. Will Joe Thuney get extended? Type Y for yes, type in for no. I fully expect him to. Now, whether it's in the next few weeks or closer to training camp, I'm not sure, but I do think he will get extended. All right, number 2, that is Kyler Gordon, a player we've talked about as an extension candidate numerous times this offseason. He's also in the final year of his deal. Different scenario. It's his rookie contract. So obviously he's not making the caliber of money that a veteran is with the expiring contract. Of course, I think a worthwhile note here is he was the first draft pick Ryan Poles has made. Second-round pick in 2022, 41 overall, 39, one of those, I think 39 overall. It was 39 overall. And to me, he's lived up to being a quality second-round player. He's been good. The biggest knack against him has been he's missed 9 games in 3 years. So not a lot, but not nothing either. 14 games a year on average. So, okay, he's missed some time here and there. Jalen Johnson was similar through his first 3 years, and then he was pretty much fully healthy last year, fully healthy this year. So it wasn't like a lingering issue. But I just like the way he plays. I like the intensity that he plays with. I love the versatility. To me, he's earned a contract extension. He can play the run. He's a willing tackler in the box. You can blitz him. He can cover. I think if you need him to play outside corner in a pinch, he could do that for you. He played a lot of outside corner at the University of Washington. Remember early on in his Bears career, he was kind of bummed about kicking inside to playing nickel, but it turned out to be a great fit for him and his athletic profile because you can deploy him in a lot of different ways. So I'm not going to say this is like just an easy layup, but when you draft a player, especially on day 1 or day 2, and he plays well, that's what you want. You want to develop homegrown talent and reward those players with contracts. So don't know what a deal would look like. Jordan Lewis got 3 for $30 in free agency. I think Gordon's a better player and he's younger, so you're looking at more like 11 or 12 million bucks per year. Maybe it's more like 3 for 33, 3 for 36. I think he's worth it because he's so versatile. And I think in a Dennis Allen scheme, which is much more aggressive and not just a kind of sit and coverage fundamentally sound scheme that Matt Eberflus had, I think Gordon has a chance to really, really take off. And don't forget, Dennis Allen and Ben Johnson, your head coach who's an offensive guy, both were quick to point out Kyler Gordon as a player that they really like on this roster in their introductory press conferences. So I don't think that's insignificant at all. And just if you're a GM, you're going to have a little bit of an ego. You want to pay off that first pick you've ever made as a GM in the league. I think Kyler Gordon gets extended. All right, you guys should be checking out the Rocket Money app because, listen, money can be stressful, right? And, as you get through the month and you're paying off bills and maybe you have a college tuition bill that you're still paying off, whatever the case may be. Staying on top of your finances, it can be stressful, but it's important, and you got to talk about it, and you got to stay on top of it. And that is what Rocket Money is going to help you do. A personal finance app that can help you find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your overall spending, and will help you lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. It can do all of that for you. If you're looking to set a budget and stay on top of it, maybe you're spending, I'll just throw a number out there, $3,500 per month, and you need to get under $3,000 per month on spending? Well, check out Rocket Money. Cancel subscriptions you're no longer using, which they make it very easy for you to do. You can also set budgets within the app, and they will send you alerts and reminders throughout the month to make sure you're staying on top of that. Hey, you're over budget. Don't eat out as much, whatever the case may be with that. They're going to help you do that for you. You can negotiate to lower bills by up to 20% in terms of a decrease in price. You upload your bill to the app, and they will search for a better price for you and get back to you in a timely manner. So a lot of awesome benefits to Rocket Money. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions today. They have saved their 5 million users and counting $500 million in canceled subscriptions alone, including members who can earn up to $740 in savings when using the app's full features. So rocketmoney.com/bears now. Save your money with Rocket Money. Okay, let's get to our third guy here. TJ Edwards. TJ Edwards, who, look, this would be his third contract in the NFL, and those are a little tougher, right? Like rookie deal, first contract for players, those are pretty easy because they're still in their 20s. I think TJ, I'll just check real quick. I think he's 28. Let me see. 28. He'll turn 29 in August, so right before the season starts. 1 year, $7 million left on his contract. Currently set to be a free agent 2026. Almost 29, so you could say, okay, well, do you want to commit to him long term? That's a little tougher, right? Like Kyler Gordon, you'd give him a 3 or 4 year deal. Even Joe Thuney at 32, he's still at the top of his game. Interior offensive lineman should be able to play at a high level. I'm comfortable giving him a 2-year extension. TJ Edwards, who I really like and has definitely been the more valuable linebacker when they signed him and Tremaine Edmonds in the same offseason 2 years ago, especially when you factor in contract. But I just think straight up player, TJ's been better as well than Tremaine. Edwards is a guy I would like to keep for a couple of reasons. One, he's played well enough, and I still think that he can age pretty well. He's not a premier athlete, but I think in the next couple of years he'll still play at a high level, and he shouldn't cost a ton of money. Like, I think you could extend him at less than $10 million per year. But what are your options at linebacker moving forward? You let Jack Sanborn walk, a young player. Tremaine Edmonds, if he doesn't play well this year, he's a pretty obvious cut candidate with his contract next offseason. I'm giving TJ Edwards at least a 1-year extension, maybe 2. I don't know if I'd do a new 3 or 4 year deal. That gets into that 31, 32, 33 range. He's not a great athlete, so if he starts to slow down even more, that makes him a little tougher to be a 3-down linebacker in today's NFL. But I would offer him like today, hey, TJ, 1 year, $10 million, 8 guaranteed. Let's get you locked down through next year because you need somebody on your roster next year. And technically Tremaine's on your roster next year, but if he doesn't take a huge step under Dennis Allen, that's a pretty easy cut for me. So I would extend TJ Edwards on a 1-year deal, keep him under contract for another year just to give yourself flexibility entering next offseason, because what you don't want is to have to reset your entire linebacker room, which is a possibility depending on what they do the rest of this offseason at the linebacker position. All right, so there you go. 3 extension candidates. How would you rank them? 1, 2, 3. So, for example, if you're going to go Kyler Gordon as your top priority, then Joe Thuney, then TJ Edwards, you would type 2, 1, 3 in the chat. If Edwards, Thuney, then Gordon is your order, 3, 1, 2. I would order it how it is on screen. To me, Thuney, best player, lines up with the rest of your interior guys, protects your franchise's most valuable asset in Caleb Williams. That's an easy one. Gordon would be number 2 for me, young, ascending player. TJ would be 3, but still a guy I would do. I would order it 1, 2, 3, but what say you? Let us know in the comment section below. Also, hit that subscribe button. We will continue to pump out Bears content here on a daily basis here on Chicago Bears Now, the latest news, rumors, segments. We'll take your questions on our mailbag episodes as well when we go live every Monday and Thursday at 4 o'clock Central. So don't forget to subscribe. Also, just a little honorable mention. These are guys who technically are in like an extension window. They're eligible, or guys you could consider extending. Braxton Jones, I think with the leg injury, that's a no-go for me right now. If he plays well this year, starts most of the games, okay, we can revisit that next offseason or maybe even in the middle of the season. But right now, that's a non-starter for me. Jaquan Brisker with the concussion issue, obviously would not do that right now, which is unfortunate because he's a player going into last year that would have been a guy with a healthy season. I would have definitely wanted to extend to kind of like Kyler Gordon, but Brisker's just not there right now. Kevin Byard, could you kind of like what I proposed to TJ Edwards, do like a 1-year extension just to keep a guy for another year because your safety position looks pretty thin heading into next year. I think at 32 years old, I probably would not do that. Andrew Billings, again, coming off a major injury. Was it a torn pec? Can't remember what it was, but I would just play this year out. I think that's the case with all these guys. I would play 2025 out with the rest of the roster. The three big ones I mentioned of Joe Thuney, Kyler Gordon, and TJ Edwards, yeah, let's get those guys locked up, at least one or two of them before the season. If you want to wait on a TJ Edwards, I certainly could understand that, but I would extend Thuney or Gordon before week 1 because to me those are players I want on this team moving forward. All right, appreciate everybody for tuning in to this edition of Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. Give me a follow on Twitter at HGrahamNFL. We'll continue the conversation over there. All right, we'll hit whatever super chats are left, and then I got to sign off. Depressed Bears fan, surprised that Keenan Allen hasn't been signed yet. I don't know if you're asking me or just making that statement, but I agree. I don't know if he's holding out for a bigger deal. I don't know if he's got kind of like something verbal agreed to a team. Maybe team's interested in him or exploring a trade for like a Brandon Ayuk first. I'm not sure, but look, I was harsh on Keenan at times last year because he had some untimely drops and just didn't have his best year, but he's still a good player. Like, I think he's a really good number 3, and for certain teams could still be a serviceable number 2 receiver in the NFL. So I am surprised. I still don't think there's a scenario he returns to Chicago unless it's just dirt cheap. I would still keep an eye on like the Raiders, the Cardinals, West Coast teams. Maybe the Rams would consider it for the right price, even though they already added Devontae Adams. But he said in the season he wants to either re-sign with Chicago or go back to the West Coast. So we'll see if that ends up happening. All right, we got to get out of here. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Shout out to OG producer Jack for stepping in for Cullen today, who was a little under the weather. He will be back for Thursday's live show. My name is Harrison Graham. Hit that sub button and bear down.